where the fun begins.
Hello, welcome to the Council. We begin tonight's meeting of the Council by calling the Council to order. Hello to everyone and thank you for joining us. The Council is a live Twitch talk show and podcast discussing Star Wars The Old Republic. I'm Elise, and with me are my fellow Council members, Redna.
Hello.
Zakari.
Hello, everybody.
And MajikAce had some real life things to do today, so she will not be joining us, but we have a special guest helping us out tonight, and that is Kid Lee. Welcome.
Hello.
Yes, somebody had to represent the beauty element. So we got Kid Lee here.
Wow, sick burn, huh, Elise?
All right, I'll sit back here.
That was halfway out, and then I was like, oh, what have I signed up for? So we're going to have an interesting after-show chat, patrons. There's something for you there.
It's all right. I don't mind being old and busted. Anyway, tonight we're going to talk about the always popular on Reddit and Twitter for the last few weeks, PTS gearing changes for the new expansion Onslaught, otherwise known as the 6.0.
Otherwise known as What Grinds My Gears.
So the topic of the night was gearing, so we're going to get into it a little bit. Sakari.
Okay, yes. So I suppose right now, show maintenance, right? Okay, yes, show maintenance. Here we go. After the live broadcast, you can find our recorded episodes everywhere that podcasts are found, and on our YouTube channel, of course. Check out our social media. Don't forget to follow on Twitch. You can find us on Facebook, of course, facebook.com/thecouncilSWTOR. On our Twitter, @thecouncilSWTOR. You can find us on our website, www.thecouncilswotor.com. And this is where MajikAce is, but wait, there's more, right? Right here. But wait, there's more. You can find us on Patreon, of course. Patreon.com/thecouncilSWTOR. I'm amazed I even survived.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I wanted to make the very first part of this episode the most important part here, and that is to talk about Elise's grand achievement. Elise, what have you done?
I finally did all the class stories, y'all. Finally, after 5+ years.
It's like the biggest news of the community right now is Elise. So okay, so which one did you finish up here?
I know, right? Jedi Knight. The one that everybody says you should start with, I finished with. The Jedi Knight one.
The Jedi Knight. Really? Oh, okay, so you left the best one. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's the best one of the lot, actually.
I have to agree with... Well,
there's a massive...
I don't know about...
I know, people are going
to... The best one, but...
Yeah, the Agent one's pretty strong.
Yeah, the Agent one was pretty good, although but that was my first one, so I need to go back and play it again to really, compare, but... The Jedi Knight one, I have to say, was definitely a super strong one. It was better, in my opinion. I'm sure I'm going to get hate for this, but I liked it better than the Sith Warrior one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'll take that too.
Don't worry, you're right.
I liked the Inquisitor story, though, because I played the female Inquisitor as a Dark 3 or 4. The voice actress makes that story.
Inquisitor, yeah.
Really, she does such a good job.
It's so much like that dripping with condescension.
Yeah.
Actually, both of the Inquisitor voice actors do a great job.
Yeah, so I really enjoyed the Sith Inquisitor playthrough that I did. I thought it was very strong because I did that.
So now, it
was super good.
The problem with the Jedi Knight is that they've nerfed that last fight so much now that it's not really all that enjoyable, but it must have been. I mean, I did it. It was one of the first ones I did. It was terrifying. The fight with the Emperor right at the end there. You guys, you remember this? Like, he turns into he triplicates himself. Like, there's like 8 of him suddenly are showing up, and they're all swinging lightsabers. It felt like fighting a spider. I mean,
it'd be like Opticate.
So
yeah. Hey, if there's a word for it.
So I got a story about that too. I had help with that fight.
Did you?
I was going to say, because actually I did it as my second, it was either my second or my third character. But I had done it with my friend. It was his first character. And he had me with him when he did it. And then when I did it, I had him with me. So I haven't done it solo. The other thing is, I don't know if Elise even had to explore with this. There's a puzzle just before the fight on the floor. And if you solve the puzzle, it gives you a whole set of gear. Well, you don't even need gear for your companions anymore. But it used to be you needed to gear your companion. So it would give you a whole set of gear for T3 because he's required for the fight. And most people had stopped playing him at like level 20. You know, so that's where his gear was.
It was hard to gear droids.
Special components, right? Because they had droid gear. They didn't have the same gear as the other characters.
So I think they took away the puzzle because it's now this clicky thing right before you go to the door. I didn't find that until after the fight when my special friend, Kirk, who did that fight with me, goes, hey, there's a thing you're supposed to click on there that gives you gear.
More than just financially.
So again, Kirk has got like, what, 252 gear on, maybe, and a level 50 companion, and rolls in, and I just sat there and watched the cutscenes, and like, Kirk pretty much just like cleaned the floor of everything, and I just got to sit there and listen to the Emperor, like, you know, talk smack. At me.
Oh yeah.
And then I dropped the ceiling on him, right? So, but my favorite part of that whole thing were and I mentioned it on Twitter, so if you've read it, you've already heard this, but you know, the whole thing where everybody gets on the ship and you talk to all your companions as they walk on, that is totally a Mass Effect 3 moment for me. Like, totally felt like Mass Effect 3 when you're in London walking around talking to everybody before you go out to, you know, run and try and
it's like prepping, hey, we're all going to die.
Yeah, so that was like totally, I was like, oh my God, Mass Effect. And then there was another one and I'm like having a minute. Oh, wait, you have to go. So I had to go save Doc. Kirk was saying he had
Keeping in mind this did precede the third Mass Effect.
Yes, but they were writing it, so I imagine there was some. Well, no, you do it kind of sort of in 2 too. Kidley can tell me, being that he plays Mass Effect 2, but I think you do it also in the whole right before the suicide mission. I think there's some flavor of this too.
Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
Before you go through the Omega.
Yeah. So it just like I was like, oh, this is awesome. So I mean, it was good. But my one and only achievement. I was looking through all my achievements today, and I have the only ones that I have 100% for is Evie. That's it, because of WOG.
I had to back you up because of WOG. I had to back you up a little bit because GG's comment was, "Really? I thought she was all about the story. I can't believe she hasn't experienced that yet.
Done all of it.
And I was like, yes, but she didn't start playing until Shadow of Revan."
And then I got all mixed up into the whole, like, you know, once I got through, people would be like, hey, you know, there was WOG, and hey, we need a raid group on Tuesday. We have that raid group on Tuesday night. And for a while there, I was filling in, like, with story mode raids for healing and stuff.
Well,
so I just never had time to, like, do my own stuff.
And so much of the community content was focused around doing stuff on the Imperial side too. So it's not like you could be on your Republican tune, you know, minding your own business and becoming available as necessary. I know there were roadblocks, but that's cool because it means you're a social friendly human being and we like you.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. Although I seem to recall Elise was always the first one was like, hey guys, if we have like, what was it? Like 9 people showed up to do the raid. She was like, I suppose I'll have to take a bullet for the team. Y'all run together. You guys, and then I mentioned she was jumping over the other side of making some progress on her characters.
No. You misrepresent. She says, "Hey guys, I know there's 7 people here right now, but there are 2 more signed up. So if somebody needs to go, I'll go."
That's what I usually did because it was all of 11:30 at night when we were doing this, and so I'd be like, "Oh my God, I've been up since 6. Can we go?" Anyway, all right.
So yes, good times. We're having good times. How are you? All right, so let's get what we're going to do with the icebreaker tonight. As everybody understands, it is just a question to get discussion going. We're already long since talking about stuff tonight. We want to talk about the gearing, as we said, the stuff that's been on PTS. The question I'm going to ask the group tonight, and then we'll just go ahead and get straight into the deliberation section. So I'm eager, Kidley, to hear what you have to say about this. So I put you and Elise in nice and early so that Redna and I can basically ride your coattails to glory on this stuff. Here we go. So the question is, based on what you know about the current gearing system, as it currently stands on the PTS, what is your general attitude about the coming gearing system, and they're calling it Spoils of War. So what is your general attitude about the Spoils of War? Chat, feel free to let us know what you guys think from it. Just based on what you currently know about it. Let us know in chat what you think. Elise, can we start with you? What is your general attitude toward this the Spoils of War system currently?
I have one word. I think it's one word. Well, maybe two. It's a looter system.
That's a looter. It's a looter without being a shooter.
Shooter on it because we're not shooting. Well, unless you're playing one of the shooting ones, but it's a looter. So, Diablo,
yeah.
Diablo Star Wars.
It's a looter hack and slash.
Hack and slash. Yeah, it's complicated.
Live it up, y'all. That's what it is.
Third person
Diablo Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay. That was kind of short. Kid Lee, what is your I mean,
I'm saving it for the deliberation. Move
Indeed. On. Kid Lee, what is your take? Because you have I imagine a more seasoned, experienced idea of this than the rest of us.
Well, first of all, I think the game needs a change. I feel like the game has either been maintaining its player base or slowly losing it over time, and BioWare, they can see that and they say, okay, I think we need to make a change. And there's so many of these looter shooter type games out there, or games that are doing different things with loot. And so the SWTOR team basically said, all right, let's, give this a try and see what we can do with it. And I think at its baseline, it's a good idea, but what they're actually attempting to do so far is not what the player base wants.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Very, very carefully stated, but probably entirely accurate, right? Because Elise has been on Reddit. That's, I imagine, where a lot of that left. All right. So who's next to take the? I guess. Okay. So
it's garbage. I think of the grind for even one tune, and I want to cry and unsub. At least we get legacy left sides.
That was actually that was very nice. I like the sniffling at the end.
Yes.
MajikAce would not do that, but I enjoy your.
Yes, I am completely over emoting, and for those that want to know, I am reading Magic's information that she shared with us. She's clearly a bit upset. I'm looking forward to the deliberation to determine as to whether or not I think she ought to be as upset as she is. I know behind the scenes, I'm going to answer for myself now. Behind the scenes, some of the things that Elise has been sharing has actually kind of been flipping me around to being a lot more optimistic. As I understand the system, which is also why I'm going to be leaning on Elise and Kid Lee to bring me up to date. I'm not totally current as of the last week and a half or two, which I know there's been a lot of updates and changes being posted by the devs and by Musco as to how this is coming out and what's changing. So I want to know what direction they're moving. But as it stands, I think people are seriously overreacting. And also, actually, I'll even respond to what Kid Lee just shared, which is the fact that it may not entirely be what the player base is looking for. But as you pointed out, the perhaps diminishing player base that needs a change may not be who these changes are for. And they may, I think, be overreacting and be happier at the end of the day once they get into it.
Really?
Most people that are responding that you see commenting in any way, shape, or form are not on the PTS actually experiencing this for themselves. They're responding to information that's being put out to them, and they are not experiencing what this is actually like. That's my take. Sakari, how about you?
How about me? Okay, so I'll be honest. I've taken a break from this game for the better part of probably 3 months. And I mean, logging in just to kind of see what's going on, but then logging right back out. But I've done nothing. I've been kind of coasting, through things. But I think it's healthy, by the way, to every now and then, if you're going to be playing a game for 7-8 years, take a break every now and then. So I don't at all make excuses for it. I think it's a good thing. But I think
from your socials, you just got back into it and have been enjoying it.
I have. I actually have. Okay, but you have to understand what I've been going through recently to understand kind of what my take is on things right now. This game I've been playing for 7 years, and stuff is old. And when you realize it, you're like, hey, I'm playing this, but I'm deriving no joy out of it. new things are awesome things, right? Like give me new story, give me new flashpoints, give me new game modes, give me new maps, anything that can brighten us out. Give me new skills to use, give me new ways to gear, give me and the more there is, and actually ramp it up, make it a new system to where you can acquire. There's kind of a learning curve to it. That is kind of where I am as a person that's played this game for a long time and is kind of bored with the oldie SWTOR. I'm actually kind of optimistic that this is gonna be. And granted, I also need to say I spent some time also playing Anthem as well and had some fun picking up gear in that game. I actually did enjoy that. If that's kind of what we're expecting to come along here in this, granted, I have no experience whatsoever with tacticals, no experience with these amplifiers. Right, that's completely new to me. I think I'm gonna have some fun just enjoying the game, and I'm actually looking forward to that. Now, I'm probably going to get flamed.
I'm going to dive in. Yes.
Everywhere.
Anthem, yes. Okay, keep going.
Anthem. Yes, it is Anthem. But anyway, that's my attitude. I'm actually cautiously optimistic. But I don't fault anybody for disagreeing with me. If you see this as a train wreck in slow motion, you're welcome to your. Just mine is a very personal view. I'm looking forward to something new. So that's me.
Yeah. If I can bounce one thing off of what Sakari just said. So here's a question for you, the three of you. When was the last time you looted something in SWTOR off of a boss, a mob? That loot popped up and you're like, wow, that's amazing. When was the last time that happened?
And it was amazing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, with the CXP system, loot didn't drop off of bosses. So 3 years.
They did in raids.
So
They
I
did in
think,
raids.
yeah. So
Eventually, it did.
I think that is what BioWare was trying to come up with their original idea with this.
For me, whenever I got the one set piece that I still didn't have, it was good, but I raided like once in a while. So
Blue Moon, yeah.
for me, it was fine, but I'm not in the same league as you all. So, that said, there you go.
I mean,
And
honestly,
I haven't been playing this game like you guys have for as long. So if I got some funky thing out in the world, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cute, and then move
the
on.
funky thing out in the world would actually be my answer to that question, which is it had absolutely nothing to do with gearing. But there have been a few times where some really cool deco pops up, and I'm like, OMG, I just won that? Heck yeah,
Yeah.
But that I agree with you, Kidley. I feel like that's actually like this was one of the biggest misfires regarding CXP was by removing loot from random mobs in the world, frankly, of any sort. That even trashy grays, removing the fact that you got something by killing something, actually, I think it was kind of like an underlying discouraging factor. I don't think a lot of people would like point to that and know to think of that, but just to know that like, you come across a random world boss and you kill it and there's nothing on it. Like, why am I doing this? Oh, cool. I got an achievement that popped up on my screen and it will never be repeated. Like,
Yep.
I really do believe that no matter how you play, the way you play should give you some sort of visceral, satisfying reward. Right?
Yeah, in all honesty, I think SWTOR has struggled from an incentivization problem for a long time. Just as an example of it, like, hey, the cartel market is really cool, but that because you can't craft anything that's useful in any kind of way, the cartel market is very much undermined crafting. That's just one example. The rest of it is
why I'm
stuff.
really excited about these crafting changes too coming.
Yeah. so stuff drops off of bosses, drops off in the real world now. Like suddenly we're incentivized to go do flashpoints, to go do content, and obviously the harder content gets the higher rewards. I think they're still going to keep that idea in play.
Yes, they did say that. So yes. Are we in the deliberation section?
Yes.
Oh yes. Oh, we're deliberating.
I do believe that Kidley gave us the perfect, unscheduled. What do they call it when you transition? The segue. Perfect segue.
Yeah. So I guess, and I'll let Kidley get more into detail, perhaps, with his what he's actually seen in on the PTS. But my concern being that I think I play looter shooters maybe it's probably my second most commonly played genre of the last 3 years, probably, just because that's where the industry has been going for everywhere outside of Star Wars: The Old Republic. Um, so I've seen some good systems and I've seen some bad system executions. I've seen
Actually,
games.
here's a question for you, Elise, just because I know that we've talked about this a lot in the past. And it seems like the vast majority of these looter shooters, when they all seem to start, they all miss. And none of them seem to be learning from their predecessors.
That's true and not true. It depends on when they start development. You see all the games that started about the same time, they all kind of like had their systems all ironed out. Do you know what I mean? Like Destiny 1 and 2.
Right, but from what I heard, Destiny 2 unlearned their lessons.
No, they actually went backwards. So
Yeah.
So you need to hold on a second. So Destiny 2 is my cautionary tale for this process that we're going through here. Destiny 1 was in an excellent state at the end of its run. It was in an excellent state. They fixed looting systems or whatever. So when Destiny 2 came out, the player base assumed that they would just take what they learned in Destiny 1 and put it in Destiny 2. They did not.
And then move forward.
What they did instead is they went way back and started back to where they started with Destiny 1 almost with their gearing. You did a quest, you got a thing. It had the exact same roles. If you ran that quest on all three of your characters, you would get the exact same gun with the exact same roles and perks on it. You did this other thing, you would do it. There was no randomization of that item, that weapon, that piece of loot. And that was, people would then play, blah, blah, blah. They would get the thing, and then they were like, well, what else are we supposed to do? We got XYZ thing. If I do it 50 times, I'm going to get the exact same XY thing. Where's my gear chase? It blew up. People started leaving Destiny 2 because there was no incentive. They took away the roles, the randomizing of roles, your randomizing of armor, all that stuff. Much like what Kidley is alluding to with where we're at right now with this game.
Okay, so that is too mechanical.
So hold on a second. So that is what they did instead, is then they pushed it on the other side where there was tons of roles, and they made the loot pool so big that it would take this immense amount of grinding to get a god role. Does everybody understand what that term means? It's a very looter.
Okay, right. So it's like you're going to kill, just so that I can paraphrase for the layperson, right? The god roll would be, there's 50 items that could drop off of this guy, and only one of them is interesting to my character the way that I play it.
Best and slot would be the best. That would be the best.
But rather than being like a choice of 3, because at least it's going to drop something for my class and my spec, it's going to be a choice of 50. And I go and kill that boss, and the first time I killed it, the exact piece I was looking for dropped. I had the god roll.
Yes, but most of the time, that's not the way it worked.
Right.
And usually
the god rolls actually have a smaller percentage
60,
chance.
70, 80 times to get this thing, and that's how it was in Destiny 1.
Well, okay, so liken it to getting a platinum piece in off the current in a cartel crate, for instance, right? You buy a crate. What are the chances that you're going to get that latest platinum level sword or whatever they have, right? It's 1 to I don't know what ridiculous odds, but there's like a 0.05% chance you'll get it.
That you want, there's a 1 whatever it is for the week.
So the big problem here that I see for this particular community, besides the fact that this is a who moved my cheese moment, for those of you who are corporate people and know what that is.
Could you do a summary for our viewers? Because I wasn't familiar with this.
It's dealing with change. The whole thing is about dealing with change. It's about you 2 mice in a maze and 2 people in a maze, and they move the cheese from where it was to another place, and the mice run off and go find the cheese, and the people stand there and just basically gripe about the fact that you spent all this time to begin with griping about the fact that the cheese was moved instead of going to find the cheese where it is now. And then one of the 2 guys eventually gets tired of griping about the fact that it got moved and goes off to find it and leaves his buddy still standing there griping about it. And eventually that dude realizes that the other dude didn't come back, and then finally goes off and realizes that it really wasn't such a big deal at the end, and it's a happy moment. Anyway, That's what this is.
To which I say, within this analogy, go play the game.
Yeah. So
quit complaining about the reward. Go play the game, and
you might
find
here is the people who are complaining most often are our super users, right? These are going to be the raiders. The people who are going to have the biggest struggle are going to be the raiders. That's who the people had the biggest problem in Destiny 2 too. So Bungie knew that, and that is why they always delayed the release of the raid until later to give those world first groups who wanted to try for world firsts time to gear up and try and figure out what the best equipment they can get by the time it's released. They're not going to have best in slot more than likely for every piece of armor and every weapon, but they would have at least, they would be good enough that everybody would be on the same average playing field. Nobody was God, geared.
Do you suspect that World of Warcraft do you think that's why they actually separated their operations from launch days as well?
World of Warcraft taught Bungie how to do an MMO. So, yes.
So you'd think they'd say, hey, I did not know about this, and that actually makes so much sense.
If you want world first,
don't give them the operation to go lust after beating it until they've had enough time to actually at least approximate the gear that they desperately want to be able to do that content.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like
I hope they're going to do that, because otherwise, all of these people griping on Reddit, who a large percentage of them are raiders. If you look at the statistics,
to a certain degree, we know they're doing it because they're not coming out with the Nightmare until later, right?
So,
but of course, there's going to be the people that want to get their accolades for hard mode first,
right? But that's what they're getting upset about. And the other thing is about how crafting and conquest points and all that stuff. And I'll let Kid Lee talk about that. But that is going to be the biggest gripe. And then the other thing that I kind of wiggle my eyebrows about, I agree with Kid Lee that something needs to change, because the game is not, from what I'm seeing too, I have to agree, it's not pulling in lots of new people. And if it is, they're not staying a long time. I mean, that's clear. Because they lost revenue, if you guys remember, due to the earnings report. So, something has to change, but this is a huge change in an 8-year-old game.
Yeah.
And it's going to affect everything in the game. So I'm concerned that in making this change to be more exciting, they're going to lose their super users who aren't willing to go run and look for the cheese in the maze because it's too much work. And they have their system set up about how they do all that stuff, and they don't want to have to unlearn what they've already learned. They'd rather just start with another game. That would be my concern. But again, I'm not BioWare. I don't have the stats that they have, and I can't see all that. My guess would be that they've run some numbers to estimate how many.
Absolutely.
But that would be my concern. This is a change. I've seen it before, and that's why I was like, this is Diablo, y'all. But
this is totally Diablo.
It's totally Diablo.
I'm like, hold on, you got different sets, and so you can pair like a four-piece set with a 2-piece set and come up with that's Diablo. Goodness me. So
here you got your Sorc sets and your Inquisitor sets and your General sets and
so there's role sets, and then there's general set.
And you should have seen the grouching, just my last thing, in Mass Effect Andromeda with the multiplayer. For anybody who played Mass Effect 3 multiplayer, it was set. It was like this. The loot pool was locked. You leveled up a thing in your little packs that you got, and once you maxed it out, it came out of the loot pool. So you never got duplicates. It just came out. So it was really easy to actually, if you played enough, to finish out your manifest and get everything that was lootable in the game. Well, then people, when they did that, they left and stopped playing, right? Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer, which was modeled after that, they quadrupled the loot pool. The guns had had all these different, this one was a sniper heavy and it had extra bonus damage on this and blah, blah, blah. And the outrage from people about them doing that was just because there was, of course, a best in slot for each weapon type, and people were mad because they wouldn't be able to get it. and then they felt like they were being asked to buy, you know, with real money, the packs that you got the stuff out of, and it was just this big brouhaha. And I'm seeing it on the horizon. The possibility.
So Elise and Kidley, I'd like you to tune in on this as well. Like, I want to know what you guys think. Let's say that this is the right thing that the game has needed for a long, long time, right? This is what it always should have been. This is ideal. Let's just assume that for a second. Is rolling the right thing out too late the wrong thing?
I want Kidley to answer first. He should already know what my answer is.
And I might go opposite of what you're thinking, actually. I think we have learned from games in the past that it's never too late to fix a problem.
Okay.
And so making things better, I think, is always the way to go. And we have seen games recover. And so in the end, I don't think these changes are going to do anything to SWTOR's population.
I agree with that.
Okay,
however, I disagree about the whole.
Here it comes.
Too late. I think they should have made this move 3 years ago when they started messing around with CXP. They should have just taken a deep breath and done this then, in my opinion.
Well, that's a leadership thing,
years.
Right? 3 years ago, different leadership.
I mean, we're talking about
so could you have
game. They say they design games for 8 to 10 years. So this is definitely in the golden Buckeye years of this game, according to BioWare and what they say they design games for. I'm not saying they're shutting it down. I'm just saying that in their design cycle philosophy, we're year 8, and they say they design games for 8 to 10 year game cycles. So we're at year 8.
The Twilight. That's what everyone's assuming.
I agree that games can come back. No Man's Sky, perfect example. However, No Man's Sky was okay.
Final Fantasy's the best example. Yeah.
That one, though, both of those were early on in their life cycle. They were not at year 8 either.
That's true.
If you can say that Final Fantasy had a life cycle, they were on life support from launch.
But still,
well, okay, so
still 1, 2, 3 years out from launch. I never played it, but it's somewhere in there, right? Year 1 to 2, 3 or something. No,
that's totally true. But they started with something that was not well received and did not get better until all of a sudden.
I get it.
It was like their reboot was like a lot of people thought it was the launch of the game. They didn't even know it had been existing for 3 years.
But would that have taken off, that reboot, if it were year 8? Or would they have just said...
And that's partially the question.
Time to go. Let's just do a new one. So, I mean, that's kind of... That would be my question.
Okay. I'm going to say the crazy thing, the controversial thing, the thing that, like... Because there's one way that this actually does work phenomenally well, right? Which is, if you take all the haters of the new stuff, all the people that are, the new movies are just social justice warrior stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even going to watch it because I'm not going to give it a fair shake because I've got my own preconceived notions that I'm going to impose on everything. You know, these people that say...
Star Wars?
I'm talking about fans.
Oh, fans.
Yes, fans of the new movies. Well, actually, fans of the original trilogy that hated the prequels and won't even give the new ones a chance because they incorporate people that look different than them. You know, these really vile people that you see everywhere online and social media, right? I could see this actually being their refuge. Like, oh, I hate all the new movies. I hate anything that Disney has done. But look, I can play Star Wars: The Old Republic untainted by the hand of Disney. No matter what their community thinks, I'm going to totally love this because this is at least my Star Wars. And they might give it a chance. That's my, like, pie in the sky, possible super everything positive way to look at at an outcome. Not that I think that that's realistic, because I don't know that community is actually that large, but different take.
And funny, then you got World of Warcraft, and their solution is, hey, let's go back 15 years.
That's totally.
Literally, their solution is, let's just pretend we didn't put out expansions and make millions because fools.
I'm still waiting to see.
Okay,
I'm gonna have my opinion on that whole thing in 3 minutes.
I have to jump in here. Somebody got into my stream the other night and, hey, wouldn't you love to see a SWTOR vanilla reboot? Kidley, that was my reaction.
No,
I was like, all right, let's talk about what that means. Are you willing to go back to where you don't have a vehicle, you don't have sprint until level 14, and your level everything's in slow motion. You have to do absolutely every quest, and you don't have any ride until level 25 on Tatooine. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, I mean, there's elements that are good. Like, I think people would like skill trees back.
Yes,
but
those were
yeah.
cool.
But that's really the only thing that significantly changed as the game launched, and that was way into the game. I mean, realistically, the concept of vanilla Star Wars versus like a vanilla World of Warcraft, vanilla or World of Warcraft, when they launched their first expansion, it so fundamentally, drastically changed that game. It was huge. The expansions of Star Wars have been small and iterative. Like even with the introduction of CXP,
I don't know.
Isn't that huge of a difference?
I
Because the
think
gear
this
itself
game
didn't change. Acquisition changed, but the gear didn't change. This coming expansion is the first time that we're seeing something that really does fundamentally change core aspects of the game, where we might afterwards be hearing people talk about, you know, their love of the vanilla experience. But realistically, it's just not comparative right now.
I feel like this game
I would
has
not be playing
struggled
this game if
to
they
have.
went back to vanilla. Just saying. I would not.
This game has such an identity crisis the whole time. They've not really known what kind of a game they want to make, and they keep redesigning it, and it's like it's whiplash. So to me, hey, we're going to overhaul this gear system. Oh, well, that's just 6.0, right? Because it's 4.0. There was a massive overhaul. 5.0, well, that was more of the same. But there's been such drastic, like breakneck changes in this game. Like, hey, this is the next one.
I'll just interject. There is one thing that they've been 100% consistent about from the very beginning of this game until today. It hasn't changed in its direction, although there has been consistent change from one expansion to the next. The storytelling has gotten more narrow and less differentiated between characters that you play, and between factions that you play, and even between the sexes or races that you play. It has become a more narrow single-player game when it comes to the storytelling elements since the day the game launched. So maybe the next expansion, they'll give you a cutscene, but then you don't really have to play any more story. That's my pessimism.
I don't know. So yeah, we're talking about the gearing, and things are going to be quite drastically different. Kidley, can you tell us what is your take on tacticals and amplifiers, since those are the new gear pieces that that's really, in my opinion, going to overhaul the system the most?
So tacticals and amplifiers, for those who don't know, they are going to be 2 additional ways to customize your character. Every character is going to get 1 tactical slot, and then on all of the shells you are getting and the mods and all that stuff, you're actually going to be picking up amplifiers, and these are going to be randomly rolled, completely RNG, and then from there you can try and build what you actually want for your character. They have a reroll system that's currently being tested, which is kind of iffy right now. I don't know how much they're going to change it between now and launch, but basically how it works right now is you go, oh, I want armor penetration and lifesteal, which are 2 actual stats. And so, when I got my random reroll, I got something I don't want. So you are actually able to click on it. You hit reroll. It comes up with a couple random ones. And in order to get the ones that you want, you have to keep going reroll, 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 reroll. Oh, there it is.
Can I ask a question while you're telling on this
money
you're talking about?
Yeah, and the price keeps going up.
Like how much? Because I can tell you they have this in Warframe for a certain like mod thing, and the price, it just gets to be astronomical. So really, people can only reroll unless you are one of those supercharged people, like once or twice. Because more than that, you're grinding just to be able to re-roll something.
Like Kirk and his 3 commas, that guy. No, you gotta have buku bucks to actually make it work. So do they have the mechanic in place where it charges you more cash now on the PTS? What is it? How does it start out? And how
in-game
fast?
credits. It's not cash, right? It's not cartel coin. It's in-game
Correct,
credits, right?
but it's still time to be able to.
I understand. I just want to make sure that that's the case.
So what does that scale look like right now? Like the way that the current snapshot of it?
It goes up pretty slow, but once it starts going up, it goes up pretty quick. if that makes sense.
So they slow it
So-
down. So they kind of give you the
So it's
first
like-
few rolls
Yes.
kind of cheaper. And then after you go past a certain threshold, then it exponentially like
Okay.
bumps up the amount.
It's like the unlock costs on Character Designer, for instance, right? You get 2 or 3 tabs. Those are kind of nominal. And then after that, it starts becoming millions.
Yeah, but here's the difference between that and this. Again, if you are a competitive PvPer, you're a Nightmare Raider,
Yeah.
those people are going to be more punished than, say, people like me who don't care as long as the outfit looks cute, and maybe I'd like some lifesteal because I'm a scrub.
Yeah, but don't worry because they're not tuning operations around it.
I think it's going to make
Yes,
a big difference, even
it
though
is.
they say it's not.
You know
It
what I
is.
think it is? It's going to punish the people that insist on best in slot.
Yeah.
At some point, you're going to have to say, okay, look, I'm going to settle for second best. And I think that's going to be a massive challenge for some people that min-maxing and juicing out every absolute point that you can of your gear. They're going to have to say, look, I'm okay with less than optimal stats.
And they
Actually,
did
this
that in
is a big
Destiny.
question. This is a big question I had because I haven't heard anywhere about this one way or the other, Kidley. Are augments still in the game?
I believe so, but I thought I heard something a few days ago that they might take them out, but I don't know if that's been confirmed. But as of right now, they're still in.
Because the irony of the basically this looks like just another augment, and that is
Yes.
and an augment that you can re-roll and can't be crafted. And when augments came out, they were like, "Don't worry, this is just a purely stat-based thing, and we are totally tuning all of our operations around as though you were without augments," which is complete BS today, right? Like you can't get in without being fully augmented. And outside of that, you can't even just go to the person that you know and get exactly what you want crafted to put into that augment. You have to deal with an RNG component that could cost you millions of credits.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think what they need to do is BioWare wants this to be a credit sink. That's fine. If they want the initial reroll, or if they want the initial roll, you loot the item, you get the augment. If they want that to be random, that's fine. But I think instead of doing infinite rerolls until you get the right stats, they need to just do it once. So bump up the cost. I don't care if it's $1 million a piece or whatever. If you don't get the stats you want on the amplifier, you hit the reroll. It then comes up with a list of every stat, and you can pick what you want. That's
See,
going to
or-
be the best way to do it.
And actually, what I think would be a combination of the two, which is basically, kind of give you your slot machine effect, which is leave it as it is, where it slowly increases, and you're hoping that you're going to be that lucky tool that, you roll it once and you get exactly the stats you want, or pick, hey, drop 5 million right now and just pick exactly the stats you want.
Yeah.
So
'Cause-
But
let me ask
my
a question.
would be, real quick, my question would be, though, they could have done that. So my question is, why didn't they? And
I don't know. This whole
my
system
guess
sounds
would
really
be,
stupid to me.
my guess
I'm
would
fascinated
be,
by it.
it's-
Just the idea of it.
it's just the same thing that Destiny with the whole, I don't know if I mentioned it, but it's the Grasp of Malak deal, that they get people to run content that maybe wouldn't get visited as much when they put something in there that has this RNG, that's something that's exciting. For that gun that you got from that strike in Destiny 1 was at that time, with the way they had tuned the game at that point, was the best gun in the game. But only if you had a certain role. People were doing that strike 30, 40, 50, 60 times to be able to get the gun.
Ideal stat
with-
balance.
Yes, and
Yeah.
even the second tier ones
Okay, so
for running it, even for that.
this is my question,
They
though.
wanted that activity. They kept it that way because people were playing the content. They were doing that strike. And then another piece was in this other one that people would go for, and they were running that strike.
So it's working. It's working, though. That's the
Exactly.
point. Okay, so my question is this. All right, let's take one of these examples, at least, that you bring up, right? Let's say there's a gun out there. Hey, I want to get lifesteal on this thing. Hey, I can roll and get a lifesteal stat, right? So let's say, for instance, that the lifesteal stat, the maximum that I can get for one of these, it's a tactical or amplifier. The maximum amplifier I can get is 10 lifesteal for this, right? I got a 4. How do I know that there's a net 6 points that I'm missing out on and I should roll again? Or if I get a 9, how do I know? Okay, I should probably stay with what I got. This piece is pretty good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a 9, and I go, okay, re-roll. Oh, now I've got a 4. Well, great. I mean, and you do it again and again, hoping for that 10, and you're just always getting underneath. So is there? I guess are we dependent on theory crafters / game reverse engineers,
Yes.
or this knowledge
Or
about
just
what these
opinionated pricks that think that their way's the right way, and they're going to force everyone else to do it.
You know what I'm saying? Because
I mean,
I think you're going to incentivize a lot of people that are mining so that we can find out what the quote unquote best in slot stat is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's already happening,
Yeah.
right? Regardless, yes, it's going to bring the theory crafters in who are going to do this, whatever. There's a plus and a minus to this, right? We have those now, right? Or at least we did an expansion ago.
Yes, we had theory crafters once upon a time.
There's been some theory crafter guides up that it's been a little laggy, if I remember correctly. There's not been as many over the last like year and a half or whatever. But
yeah, but
so
they haven't
have
changed the mathematical formulas that represent the outcome, so there hasn't actually.
I mean, they have a
I
little
want
bit.
to say Andy Null
I
is probably
think
our
there's an accuracy change coming.
really.
But so
They need to make some changes because otherwise tanks are still just going to be going for straight endurance gear because they're maxed on all their stuff.
So my point is, you're going to have the theory crafters who are going to come out and say, this is the best in slot, this is the best you have to have. But you're also going to have people who come in and go, okay, but not everybody's a nightmare level raider. Here's your alternative if you don't need best in slot, blah, blah, blah. You can use, and they'll put a list, at least this is what they did in Destiny. You'd have people go, okay, this is the best, this is a god roll. Okay, here's the other ones. And then these are the ones you can settle for. And then, but if you don't play that way, if you're not focused on this, if that's not the way you play, these are some good options too that might not even be that particular gear. Something
right.
different.
If you're not a lightning sork, but you're whatever the other one is.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, and that's how Warframe does it. So that's number one. Number two, the way Warframe does their, and I'm having a senior moment, the thing that you can re-roll, they're like extra mod. You roll it, but you can holds your original setup, right? The thing you're re-rolling, it holds it. So you re-roll it and you can see what you get. You can not accept that and keep your original one. So using your option, Sakari.
That would be cool.
You started with a 6.
Decline the change,
It's a 4, and you can go, yeah, no, I'm staying with my 6.
Yeah, actually, that would be a cool alternative.
That would be
a decline option.
Yes, that it holds your original one, lets you roll, and if you don't like your roll, then that's it. That is the
like I opened the box, I don't like what's in it. Let me close it.
Close it again. Pretend you didn't get it.
I think, Kidley, your idea is a good one, but I don't see how people wouldn't just take that. And then you're, if I roll it, if I have enough money to roll it, then I can get what I wanted, and I don't have to go grind for it. Mm. That hurts people that aren't bottomless pit money people. Yes. It really does. It makes it much more of a pay-to-win system. Even though it's not real-life money, it's still in-game credits, but that's still time, and that still sets certain groups of people apart from others in this game. And I think that's a very dangerous path to go down at this point of this game.
Now, so I would actually like to go into the other side of this conversation, which you haven't touched yet, because right now we've only been discussing regarding the amplifiers. And I do think that ultimately, like at the end of the day, okay, so what? You wait, you get the piece that you want, that's got the stats that you want, and then you re-roll the amplifier, regardless of the cost. The people that are hardcore enough, they're going to do it. Those that aren't, they're not going to do it, but they're still going to have the gear with the stats that they want, right? But the thing that really does change the game is it's not the amplifiers, it's the
tacticals.
The tacticals, right? And those literally change the effects that abilities have or the way that you play a character. And I feel like that's more actually representative of what you're discussing, Elise, which is the fact that there's going to be like the best in slot tactical, that this is the best way you modify your character to maximize your DPS in this role.
It'll be 4
but then there's going to be others that are like, okay, these are the 3 next best. you know,
Mhm.
and
You'll need to have the whole selection, and then for this boss, you use this one, and for this boss, you use this one.
Correct.
The same way
That's
people
the
use
way it'll be.
utilities right now. They switch them
that
out.
too, right?
Well, at least for Nightmare is what I imagine.
And the Nightmare Raiders will sit down, they'll crunch it out, and they'll say these are the ones you have to have. And we
Right.
had that in
For
Destiny
instance, because
too.
the examples that they were talking about was like, take your AoE lightning, and instead it hits a single target, but it hits really hard. Well,
Yeah.
if you're going into the second to last fight in Shadow of Revan, you know, just before Revan, it's a massive AoE fest. You don't want that tactical. You want something that actually.
Yeah.
Another example they gave was instead of just hitting 5 different random characters, it hits 15.
Right.
You know, like
Yeah.
that's the kind of
But the
choice.
dark side of that whole thing is that, like, for example, in Destiny 1, if you didn't have this one rocket launcher, people wouldn't take you for raids.
Yeah, they don't bring you to the game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And that'll
That's
happen.
the
I guarantee that.
problem.
Yeah, if
When the raiding community is as small
Agreed.
as it is already,
yeah.
that's a problem. Like,
if it's a must-have, if you cannot get invited to a group because you don't have that piece,
the
it's,
Galahorn, for those of you who play Destiny 1, and it was legendary. People still talk about it now. I don't think that's what this game also wants to go down either. So I hope that they're thinking about these things and we just haven't seen them.
yes.
But me
Right.
looking at all this stuff, I don't see anything stopping those cautionary tales from happening from what I'm seeing
Sure.
coming
this
out.
Is,
Like,
this is what I wanted to get to, right? So let me go ahead and take the reins since we're coming to an end here. But Sakari, do you have that?
Kari wants to show the screenshot.
I do.
Yeah, no, that's.
Is
and
that
that's
what
where
we're
I'm
talking
going.
about?
Sakari, do you have this first screenshot with all the tier, quote unquote?
Okay, he's talking about a different one, but okay. I'd like to show Kid Lee's as well. So let me throw that
Yeah.
in. But
One.
Do Kid Lee's first and then go to the other.
I don't want to derail Redna.
Yeah. One other thing I'll say here real quick is I've had a chance to play with some of the tacticals, and those are really, really cool. I think one's not enough. I think they should be doing 2 to 3.
Okay.
I don't even know what a tactical is.
So it's basically just like what you explained. It'll enhance an ability.
That's
so
what
like
you
the
were just
one,
talking about.
yeah. So one that I played with that was really
Oh,
cool.
you mean
is
one slot?
Yeah, yeah. You can only equip one.
So
I
it's like an
agree.
extra
I mean,
gear
but
piece.
That seems like something that they could like for the future. Basically, like first they need to have enough of a variety and options for you to choose from for community consensus to come across, and then eventually, like maybe with the next expansion, rather than increasing tier lists, you open a new tactical slot, and it just dynamically changes everything. But I agree with you because then you start to get more of that experience of the talent tree dynamic differences.
Yeah.
That can actually be customized for gameplay style as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
here
And before you dive into that real quick, since we didn't mention MajikAce's feedback, she very much is going down, I think, from the perspective of a Nightmare Raider. That they are the ones that are going to be the most stressed, I think.
Yes, and that's exactly where I wanted to go next, but you wanted to show some
all
screenshots.
right. Let's do that. Okay.
You still
Redna?
can, but
Okay, so we have to credit Zamzam and Andy Null for this. Zamzam put it out on Twitter, and I think it's very illustrative of the grind that is coming. So we have. Did I make it go away? Oh, here it is. Okay, so there are 19 different tiers of gear that are coming. Right, it looks like 3 green, 4 blue. I don't know what is that, 5 or 6 purple, and then 4 in the legendary.
Okay, yeah, this is
yellow.
what I was asking for.
Uh-huh. What do you want to say
Yeah,
about this, Redna?
This is my topic. So you are going exactly where I want to go. So you do have the slide you're showing it?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, these are the tiers of gear that they say. Now, when I first saw this, I was like, okay, well, that's perfectly normal. Every expansion, you got 5 levels, you got greens and blues and purples and yellows, and that's fine. As you level up, you get it. And then I found out how this is actually supposed to work, which is once you hit top gear level, you get item number 270, which is the leftist most number, right? And when you get that, you pick it up and you put on your head. And then whatever you kill in the future, if it drops a piece, if you've got the 270, then it's going to roll for a chance to either give you a 272 or another 270 with slightly different stats, or even the same 270, right? And so that's like supposed to be the gear progress. So you can go and grind out in the world and you've got your 270 and eventually you'll get your 272 and it will never give you a lower item rating. So if you're up to the 286, it's not going to give you a 270. It's always going to give you a 286 or above. And you slowly work your way up. So it does look like, oh my gosh, I have to grind.
Don't
every
slowly,
single one of these
don't
slots
slowly
of-
do anything. Whatever
Right.
you have to
So
do
that's
to
the direction
increase
I'm
your gear rating is the fastest way. So you take less optimal stats. Like if I have
Right.
to, if I have as a DPS have to
If
equip
it's got a green
tank
arrow
stats.
in your bag, you click it and equip it.
Exactly, because it gets you up your rating higher faster, which means you'll be picking up the higher tiers sooner rather than later, which I think is the general. And
Right.
we're gonna see that all over the place.
Now, there's two
Now,
things where this is absolutely completely circumnavigated based off of what they've said. Because everybody looks at this and says, so seriously, every single slot, I'm going to have to pick up a minimum of 19, but it could be dropping the same item rating level. So it could be freaking 55 times for every single slot. This is obscene. I'm out. Right? Except that's not the case because they've told us operations bosses go into story mode and you're going to get your legendary item. So then all you've got to worry about is 3 upgrades after that. Simple, right? And you could literally keep running story modes and get 3 upgrades and max out every single slot just running story modes. The other side of it is you've got crafters that can make item level max. So go out and have your buddy craft you the misappropriately statted max level gear.
Yep.
Put it on, and then every single thing you kill, even mobs in the world, are going to randomly give you a chance to have that next item that's the highest level tier. And it's going to give you the stats you want. Like
so that's what it seems
jump
like.
the line right there.
But Destiny has this almost exact same system. Kidley, you've played Destiny 2, so it's the light level, right? You put something on, you go play, you get a drop, you put that one on, you get a new whatever. But it doesn't work as beautifully as it seems like it's going to. The item, the light level of whatever you're putting on is not really where you're getting your power from. It's the rolls of the perks on the stuff that you have.
Right.
So
that's why I think the conversation is more about the tacticals than it is actually about this gear.
So, I mean, if all of the stats on your stuff is rolling independently, which is how it does in Destiny, that is where the grind comes in because each one is its own slot machine. And if that's where they're going with this, it feels like they're moving in that direction. Just because you have max gear rating stuff on doesn't necessarily make it better than the green crafted stuff that your friend made you that you could pick the things that work better with your play style.
Okay, but we actually have
numbers.
We have static numbers for alacrity values, crit values, power values, accuracy values, power values, critical, and accuracy. Yeah, so all the values are static, and they are fundamentally better than all of the lower colored ones. I mean, like, within Legacy, there's going to be some variance where, you know, like you're going to, the endurance might be higher than the wanted crit or whatever, but it's still going to be vastly superior to green. Just by nature of these items that we know that much about. I really think that the potential grind, while you're right, like to get the perfectly distributed stats on that, there's going to be a massive grind on it, but the value of those stats is not going to be such that you're feeling like you're wearing greens. That's just not inherent in the system. And additionally, I do think where the potential massive grind is in the tacticals. But one of the things that you were telling me is, like the tacticals, if they're doing it right, even if there's the one that is the very best, if there's 4 that are still dang good, and maybe I actually like playing this way better with these other 4, even if I sacrifice 2% on my DPS, then that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to enjoy the game more. Like, to me, that seems much more appealing. Yes. So I don't actually see this grind being as bad as CXP at any rate.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, Kidney, can I show you a screenshot right quick, and you just give us a lightning fast? I wanted to fit this in. So, all right. So here's Kidley's screenshot. This is one that he provided us before the show. What do you want to point out about this, Kidley?
So I'm going to give you a real quick sort of update on the build by build that BioWare's been doing. So the screenshot you're looking at right now was from PTS, what I'm going to call Build 1. If you haven't seen it, that's what the new preview screen looks like. And then over on the right side is where the inventory is. You'll notice that I have 5 rows of gear. That is 5 runs in Hammer Station where they have redone the loot tables. So 5 runs, 25 items, and you'll see that they are using a green up arrow system now. That means that's a guaranteed upgrade for what you are currently wearing. And when you take a look at the side by side, you see that I'm looting 270 greens out of Hammer Station. Now, in PTS Build 2, they changed that. So again, it was 5 runs, 25 items. In Build 2, 1 run, I got 25 items.
Yikes.
It's a lot of loot. But that kind of goes into the new deconstruction system, which is a different discussion for a different time. The other thing you'll see on the screen there is the new Renown Stash system, which is replacing Galactic Command. So now what you're seeing right there is that is after I have opened 3 different crates. So you're only getting 1 item per crate now. But the item that you get out of there is a guaranteed to be either an equal to or better than what you already have. Now, this week, potentially tomorrow, they are doing what I'm going to call Build 3 on the PTS, and it's going to pretty much change everything because people have been very, very unhappy at the first 2 builds, and this is kind of where all of this discussion started. So they're going to take things back, and they're going to basically be putting everything on vendors.
Okay.
They're going back to that, and they're using the new currency system, which I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. They used to call it Charles Bucks. But,
the Chuck Bucks.
yeah.
Oh, the tech,
Oh my God, new
tech
currency
items or something
system.
like that.
Oh my God.
Chuck Bucks.
Now,
Chuck
the
Bucks
thing
is
with
going to stick, though.
Yeah, the thing with the new currency system is the currency is dropping like mad, and everything that you deconstruct in the new deconstruction system, you get tech fragments. In addition to like all the other junk. So
we're it sounds like we're swimming in gear right now. Like at least the current build.
Yes.
You have so much you can't even you'll be climbing very fast just by nature of the sheer volume of gear that's coming your way, more so than it.
Yeah,
But
and that was the thing
way
that
looters work, though.
Yeah,
That's
and that was the
exactly how
thing.
looters work.
Yeah, that was the thing that Musco said in the first Cantina. His quote was loot, 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 loot everywhere, and so that's what they're trying to do.
Yes, indeed. Yeah. I can't escape it. So, okay, I think for the most part that's a good spot. Kidley, we want to thank you very much for joining us tonight. It's great to have you on the show. Very cool. I think you're a second guest we've had ever. So, how awesome is that? Just a couple 3 announcements. Whatever we've got here. PTS is currently down. We'll be coming back up soon. Kidley mentioned that they're going to push something to it. In the next couple days or something.
Yep.
So stand by for that. Those of you who've been testing, by all means. Ongoing right now, the Grand Galactic Sale. There's a new tier of it that opens every 6 weeks or every week, and for the next 6 weeks, I believe. Right? I'm seeing some nods. That's good. I think
week 3.
whatever opens up stays in the sale all the way until the end. Am I right about this, or is it doesn't go away because we were talking about that?
Correct. And you didn't put the first one on there, which was legacy transfers.
Yeah. So in the first week, we announced what was going on the first week, but we haven't done something in 2 weeks. So in the time since our last episode, in the second week, they went live with 50% off. Let's see. It was flares, right? No, that's this week. This week it's
Color crystals was number 2.
Color crystals. Okay, I messed that up. So 40% off color crystals, 50% off appearance options were in week 2, so that's ongoing now. And then this week they went live with 50% off all flares, which I'm probably gonna jump in on that. Species unlocks, legacy unlocks, so there's some cool things to do there. Also want to say congratulations to Zam on being the latest featured content creator. Very cool. She's on the launcher. I mean, that's really cool. I think Kidley, you've been on the system, haven't you? Very cool.
Yep.
I'm glad that you get some much deserved love and attention there. And then the only other thing to really announce is just those of you who are in and around New York City, Friday, October 4th, will be the next Cantina. They're going to do that at 7 p.m. New York City. So definitely be ready for that. Very cool.
Okay, and before I say thank you, I did want to add 2 more things to keep in mind. If you've got max level gear, literally everything in the game is legacy transferable. So even if it's not for your class, go ahead and send it over and put it on, because then the only gear for your class and discipline will be dropping at the max level tier, so you
Mm-hmm.
can get it that way. Also, because everything is transferable, it also means you don't have to do it for your mirror classes. You only need to do it 8 times.
The wheels in Redna's head are turning. I love it. I'm seeing him
Right.
come up with all these.
There's a bunch of ways to just short circuit the system. Just
Sure, but
putting that out there.
remember, 75% of the people who play this game, though, don't play anything but one class. So
Right, which is
that won't
totally
be
cool.
helpful.
And then they've only got to get there. Then they just need their crafter friend, and they can get to the top of the line. Done.
Good times.
But so that brings well, and so I do want to say thank you everybody for showing up. I see we've got a great sized chat room. Love you all a long time. Thank you so much, Kid Lee, for coming by last minute. We really like your input, and we've of course always been good friends with you. And thank you everybody that pays us money. That's actually super cool. It helps me from going bankrupt. And thank you for those of you that aren't in the know. I've got a second one coming. So thank you, and thank you, because we love you all. And that brings us to the end of the episode. The council is adjourned. If you'd like to reach us, you can email us at thecouncil@thecouncilswotor.com. Like our Facebook page at facebook.com/thecouncilswotor. You can find Elise on Twitter at abrown35. You can find MajikAce at the MajikAce. You can find myself at R3DN4. And you can find Sakari at I am Sakari. Kid Lee, where can they find you on Twitter?
Twitter.com/KidLeeASF.
And I'm seeing in the notes that you also have your Twitch at twitch.tv/KidLee, which is very simple. It's LEE, guys. It's not hard. Also, don't forget our Patreon page at patreon.com/thecouncilswotor, where patrons can catch the articles we're talking about behind the scenes and exclusive backstage access to our after show chat. That's it for this week, guys. Do you know what's going on? Maybe it's another trip.
I understand.
You are on this council, but we do not grant you the rank of master.
What? How can you do this? This is outrageous. It's unfair. How can you be on the council and not be a master?
Take a seat, young Skywalker.
Forgive me, Master.